Deshaun Watson situation. So over the past couple of weeks, Deshaun Watson's name has been circulating because women have filed lawsuits against him for sexual harassment, I believe.
It's 21 now, right?
Yeah, 21. Yes, up to 21 now. So last week we talked about this, but now we're going to give an update on what has happened because new information has surfaced. So an article on Sports Illustrated came out talking about Deshaun Watson. It was a massage therapist named Mary. She told her story to Sports Illustrated about Deshaun Watson, and an interesting fact about her is that she is not filing a lawsuit. So this is all her coming out and just wanting to share her story because Deshaun Watson has been denying this. So there are some theories out there that Tony Busby, the lawyer that's trying to, get Deshaun Watson in trouble or get him acquitted for this, is that he's close with the McNairs and stuff. So this girl coming out kind of gives it even more credibility that may not be the case. So this is what it says in the article. I'm going to read the best points in it. She says, the one thing I kept thinking about is he's about to get traded to another place, Mary says. What if he goes to Atlanta or California or anywhere else? He would have a whole new community of massage therapists to target. So then the next one says, Mary makes it clear that Deshaun Watson did not touch her, nor did he force her into conducting any sexual acts, but she says she did engage in behavior that was both inappropriate and unlike any other interaction that she's ever had with her 1,000 clients that she's had, including other professional athletes. And then she also said, when Deshaun Watson came into the building to get the massage, usually they give you sheets to put over to get the massage. He asked for a big towel. So he got the big towel and he was, draped in the towel, and 45 minutes into the session, he asked if he can take the towel off because it was starting to get itchy. He took the towel off, and when she says he tossed the towel onto the floor, saying it was too itchy, Watson was lying face up on the table, naked and totally uncovered, something Mary says has never happened during any of her other massage appointments. She was quoted in saying, "I was in shock." Watson developed an erection, she says, and also began clenching and slowly thrusting the air. So he was facing
that doesn't
down.
Even sound real.
He was facing down. He was facing down, looking up with his head, and he was thrusting the air. And then after that, Watson's behavior indicated to her that his intentions were different, she adds. There was one point that he did tell me that I could move his penis if I needed to, and I just completely ignored him. She took this as a suggestion to touch his exposed penis. Watson stayed on his back for the entire session while massaging his abdomen. Mary says she noticed different fluids on his stomach, and she said that she thinks it was pre-ejaculation, and Watson has messaged her on Instagram, and Sports Illustrated acquired those messages. So they have the messages from Deshaun Watson's legit verified Instagram account messaging her to get more appointments and even congratulating her on her business. After this session, and he tried to have other sessions with her, but she just has not responded, I believe. But yeah, that is the recent story that has come out about Deshaun Watson. And Sports Illustrated published that article.
So she says she's not pressing any charges.
No, she's not filing any lawsuits. She
Not
just
even
wanted
a civil suit.
She just wanted to say something.
She just wanted to hear her voice heard, yes, and stand up. She felt the need to say something because Deshaun Watson is denying it.
Yeah, and that's more damning evidence, I think, than any of the 21 cases that are being filed by Busby, because that's something where you could crazy, but you could say that's one guy getting all of these women in line to try and take Deshaun Watson down. Now, this girl going to Sports Illustrated has no reason to try and ruin Deshaun Watson's career. So if you thought that was the case, I think that's pretty hard to imagine now. And I think with 22 now cases of this, of women coming forward, it's beyond any chance that this is all nothing. Like, there is at least some, even if some of it has been stretched, there is at least some truth to these stories. And if there is, then it leads to a bunch of different questions. And I think one of them is, how have the Houston Texans allowed this to go on as an organization? And, obviously they've played a hand in covering it up, I would have to imagine, over the past few years with Deshaun Watson as their quarterback. And then Deshaun Watson, I mean, where do you go from here?
That's an easy answer. They covered it up because they think business first.
Yeah, 100%.
And Deshaun Watson makes them a whole buttload of money.
And it's disgusting for the Texans. And
that too.
Something that should not be forgotten about in this process.
Now they don't care because he's still technically a part of the team, but he wants to go. So now they're just like, all right, well, we're not going to protect him any longer. He's extremely horny. And he's undesirably really, really weird. And I just, like, when we was talking about it last week, we were like, we're going to wait and see because we don't know if it's true or not. But that right there, it just kind of makes, it
makes it sound like it's true.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's true. It sounds like I think him sending those messages on Instagram from his verified account, it's now kind of been verified that he didn't indeed send those messages. I think it seems like, yes, it does seem like this is true. And I think talking about this situation on this podcast is very unique because nobody in the sports media is covering this. First Take is not talking about this. Undisputed, all these major sports networks are afraid to talk about this. And the worst thing about it is that while they fail to still talk about this, they still mention Deshaun Watson and possible trade packages for teams that need a QB when
they're completely ignoring this.
No team is going to trade for Deshaun Watson with this going on. That's absolutely insane for any team to trade for Deshaun Watson.
I have seen some of them talk about it, but when they do, they have to really tiptoe around it because of the legal implications of, like, technically none of this is proven yet. But I think that when you look at this situation, none of these cases are being brought criminal because I don't think, based on what I've heard and what I know of the laws, I don't think there's enough to charge him for any crimes. But the fact that they're going civil with it, it doesn't have to be beyond a reasonable doubt that he did any of this. So it's a whole different way of looking at the situation. And I think that he did do the things that he's being accused of doing, even if it can't be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think that these civil suits will bring that stuff to light. And even if it's not all 100% true, there is at least something to these rumors.
Even when they tiptoe around it, though, usually it's not even in, like, trying to talk about it. It's like they're talking about one topic, like QBs, and they're like, oh, yeah, maybe Deshaun Watson, but, we know what's going on with him.
Yeah, they deflected.
Yeah, then they just keep going. Some people have said that they have not been talking about it because they're, like, a liberal media company.
Word. And
a lot of, like, SJW is social justice warriors. And basically it's hard to talk about it because you can't upset your fan base because social justice warriors, they say to believe all women, but at the same time, while this story is going on, because Deshaun Watson is a black man, people think that he is being framed. So that kind of plays into the narrative as well.
Wait. They say to believe all women?
Yes.
When women have come out and been caught lying too?
Yes. I mean, that's just the far left, though. I'm just giving you a perspective from the far left and kind of how they indict people like
that's
that.
Interesting.
Because, yes, it has happened in the past, but for the most part, people do come out with that narrative. But what I think is that, I mean, there are 21 lawsuits against Watson right now. And you mentioned about how there's not enough evidence to charge Watson. And this backs up that point. Rusty Hardin, Deshaun Watson's lawyer, was quoted by saying this. He's talking about Tony Busby in terms of not providing evidence to Houston's police department. These are quotes.
Okay.
His latest excuse for failing to go to law enforcement is also his lamest. Anyone who has dealt with HPD, Houston Police Department, as I have for many years, would know that Mr. Busby's suggestion that the department would overlook legitimate complaints based upon a family connection of one of its officers is ludicrous. It is also insulting to the dedicating professionals at HPD and to common sense. Mr. Busby's claimed fear of HPD's partiality is inconsistent with his prior praise for the department's response to the burglary of his home during his recent mayoral campaign. So to me, I think this is like a bunch of lip service. It's just PR. I think he's just saying that.
Well, because Tony Busby came out and said he's not going to provide information to the Houston Police Department. He's going to take, if he does take it legal, he's going to take it through other means.
Yeah, and I think he's just saying this because he believes that he's basically Rusty Hardin, Deshaun Watson's lawyer, is basically trying to say that, oh, that's some BS that you're not providing police evidence because that's such a shame to the hard and dedicated police officers who work every day. For you to think that they have no bias is ridiculous. That's what he's basically saying, which we all know is kind of like lip service and BS. Like everybody has bias, you know. And then, okay, also quoted with saying this: I would respectfully suggest that Mr. Busby's failure to go to law enforcement does not result from some baseless fear that the Houston Police Department will not fairly investigate. Instead, it is from the knowledge that his parade of anonymous allegations could not survive the rigorous inquiry of trained investigators or the need to attest the truth of the allegations under oath. For our part, we will continue to learn about the cases in any way that we can. We in Deshaun will always remain available to any law enforcement or regulatory agency who desires our cooperation. Apparently, Mr. Busby is unwilling to do the same. So Mr. Tony Busby has yet to offer up any evidence, which makes some people believe that means Deshaun Watson is innocent. I do agree with your point, though. I don't think there might be enough to charge Deshaun Watson. But the question is not whether he was charged or not. The question is whether he did it or not. Because we know...
It's morally disgusting.
Yes, because we know a lot of years back, Big Ben did some things that were very disgusting. And yeah, he didn't get charged, but... doesn't take away from what he
still
did.
Look at him differently. And I think that's what's going to be the community is going to look at Deshaun Watson in a different light. And I think, like, let me act like say, for example, these are correct. Like, these are 100% true. How does he go about his business? Like, how does he continue to play for the Texans and continue to play football?
Who's going to want to have him as the face of their franchise?
Exactly.
I'm going to be honest.
I think Houston still
in
might.
the NFL, I don't think anybody cares. We've seen...
It's a sad but good point.
But who's going to trade for him now?
Any team that has the assets. I'm going to be honest. I think in the NFL, a league that has shown to suspend players for little time when assaulting women, like Tyreek Hill did,
good point.
They don't really care about that. They care about their bottom line. The team cares about their bottom line. And the truth is that Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and he makes the team have a better bottom line. So because of that, the NFL is not going to care much. But like you mentioned, yeah, it is disgusting that Deshaun Watson, if he did do this, I mean, it's pretty insane.
No, it's pretty nasty.
He's just targeting massage therapists and going
He's
to their
just walking
service.
in there and just getting real freaky, and they don't like it. It's kind of weird. This was 2 years ago, right? That they said
a year ago.
And the reason it's a problem is because even if he whether he does understand it or doesn't understand it, he has a certain power being who he is. Because anybody who is a massage therapist is going to accept that offer from Deshaun Watson and do whatever to make him happy because what he could bring to them. Like he can bring in so much more clientele and so many more famous athletes. If, that's the thought process. If I do a good job, think about everything else that can come with it. So he has that power over these massage therapists, which makes it so disgusting.
It kind of you know what? Never mind.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, he does have that power over them, and for the most part, they are powerless in those situations.
In a sense, yeah.
Even when they try to use their voice like this woman did and make her story public, there are still a lot of deniers of it. And that's why a lot of women are fearful of speaking up about these things because there is gonna be a lot of pushback. In recent years, women have been getting the benefit of the doubt more times than often, but it's still not to the point where they are believed to the point that they should be believed, because everything so far that we've read, it tells me that Deshaun Watson, I'm leaning towards maybe it might have happened, but obviously we don't really know, but this is damning evidence. In 21 lawsuits and this woman, Mary, coming out to Sports Illustrated, it seems kind of crazy. At the end of the day, I think that Deshaun Watson might just settle and he might pay an amount. But in terms of getting like actual time, I don't think he will.
I don't think his reputation is never
If he does like indeed is guilty.
Yeah.
That's just saying.
Which to me at this point, I feel like it's beyond him being completely free of guilt at this point. Like I gave him the benefit of the doubt at the start, but with all these cases piling up, and then on top of that, what was like the smoking gun for me was the Sports Illustrated piece, because for a fact that piece is not getting through Sports Illustrated without being picked apart by a fine-tooth comb, because that's stuff that could end careers. Like SI would not let that run if that was not a
especially not
true,
him,
fully confirmed story. So even if not everything that has been brought to light is true, I think there is enough truth to it that it's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, it is. And I don't think anybody should have Deshaun Watson in trade talks or trade packages anymore.
Sorry. Hot chocolate was cold.
Well, it has been sitting there for a while.
I forgot. Oh, my God.